So earlier we saw what is classical, traditional. Classical is old school as I told earlier, and neoclassical. So now we are going to the modern management theories. So we will see what modern management theory is actually. So this is a definition. What do you mean by the word modern? Modern is relating to the present or recent times. So people say that you are modern man, you are dressed modern. Traditional times they wear those kind of dresses. Modern you are switching to different kinds of dresses according to the trends, right? That is modern. Characterized by or using to the most up-to-date techniques or equipment. That is true. If you're using the latest phone or something, you are modern. They will call you are using the modern phone, latest phone. So that is the meaning of modern, up to date. When you are relating something with the latest technology, that is modern. So the process of management is nothing, as I told earlier, is nothing but the process of managing, overseeing something, administering and regulating. So theory. So I have given the definition of the three words which we are going to see. Modern management theory. So the definition of modern management and theory. Theory is a set of principles on which an activity is based. There should be certain principles, right? How the activity should be carried out. That is a theory. A system or of ideas intended to explain something, especially ones based on general principles independent of the thing to be explained. So we have a theory and we follow that particular theory. So there is what is a set of principles or rules on which how to perform that activity, on which an activity is based. So this is the definition of this terminology. So in modern management theories, we have these many approaches: system, quantitative, TQM, total quality management, learning organization, team building, chaos theory, open system theory, and contingency theory. So we will look about each theory and we will see how they can contribute to the effective management. So first is system approach. An organization that takes organization into a system consisting of four subsystems, namely task, structure, people, and environment. The whole organization is considered as a system. The company is considered as a system, and there are four subsystems, four components involved in that system, namely task, structure, people, and environment. Task means what what is work of that company, and how the company is structured in a hierarchical or whatever way it may be, and the people who are working in the company, and the environment, the factors. The subsystems are interconnected and interdependent one another. Two, it should maintain the balance of all the four components, right? An organization is an open adaptive system which continuously interacts with its environment. Management regulates and modifies the system to optimize performance. An organization is more than aggregate of various parts. This is called synergy. It synchronizes with each system. This is a what do you say? This is a terminology which is used in the context of organization. Synergy. It synchronizes the components of subsystem or synchronizes to get the objective or get the purpose to achieve the goal of that particular system. So you think now you forget the name organization and think organization as a system and its parts, how the parts are related to each other, how the subsystem are related to each other to achieve the goals, right? So organization, the word organization is replaced with system here. So this approach was given by Ludwig von Bertalanffy. Is the founder of this general system theory. He says system is a set of interrelated but separate parts working together a common purpose. That is true, right? A system, as in, for example, we are having a computer system. It consists of CPU, desktop, monitor, CPU, monitor, keyboard, mouse, right? Everything is interrelated. The achieve is to perform its function effectively. So there are two types of systems. The names open and closed. So the key terminologies of the system approaches are subsystem. As I told earlier, they are the parts of a system. The parts of a system is called subsystem. It depends on each other. There are two different types of subsystem, internal and external. And synergy, cooperation between subsystem, the synchronization, that is called as synergy. The energy that flows through all the systems is called as synergy. Cooperation. If one system is not cooperating, if the keyboard is not working in a computer, that is a subsystem, right? In case of a computer as a system, we are taking keyboard, mouse, CPU as a subsystem. If the keyboard or CPU is not working, the computer will not perform. So there should be synergy, the cooperation between all the components. Mouse. If the keyboard is not working, you will not be able to type. If the mouse is not working, you will not be able to navigate, right? So the cooperation between all the components and the parts is essential to maintain a synergy. The boundary, system boundary, it is separate. It is separated both internal and external subsystem. It is separated by both internal and external subsystems. There is a boundary for everything. So these are the components, parts of a system: inputs, transformation process, outputs, feedbacks, and environment. We will see what this is about. So these are the parts of a system. We will get input, it transforms the input into into information, and after the transform, it produces the output, that is a finished product, and it gets feedbacks and from the environment also. System approach. System have proper order and communication between them. Subsystems have proper order. Yes, we will take if I will just follow the same example. Computer as a system, it should have proper order and communication. The keyboard should communicate to the monitor so that we can see the words which are typed using the keyboard, right? If there is no communication, there is no connection between keyboard and monitor, how we can see the output, right? So there should the subsystem, the component should have proper communication. Decisions are based on the impacts of various subsystems. That is true. So see in this diagram, finance department, production department, marketing, HR department. These are the various subsystems of an organization. So how various subsystems roles impacts, decisions are made according to the impacts. How these subsystems have effectively impacted, based on their impact only overall decisions is made. If the finance is very low, you cannot purchase any new things, right? If there is no production, if the production department, if there is no new production, so what will you do? What is the need for having money, right? So existing production should finish first, then only you can go for further productions, right? So everything is done, and money is given. Finance department gives the money, production department completes the work, but no one is purchasing. What happens? So marketing department is not doing the job properly. Marketing is, you have to make sure that the product, whatever the production department has done, they need to market it to the audience, to the customer, so that they will purchase it. So this is a cyclic process. If one system fails, and the whole organization fails actually. So based on the impact of the department, they will take decision accordingly. If the sales is not good, the marketing department do a better job, right? Or the production department should see why they are not buying, because this the production is old style. We have to convert it into new style or something like that, because this is old fashioned TV. Nowadays no one purchase Nokia 1100 phone, right? That is old. So now the Nokia company has to migrate to new models. So the production department has to make new phones according to the latest technology with the latest features. So they will see the impacts of these various subsystems, and accordingly they will take a decision. So these are the different levels of system. System level, that is supranational, national, organizational, and group. This is from the bottom, it is specific. Top, it is general to specific. And here a practical example: supranational is United Nations, national is a Canada, organization is a Walmart, family work group. So this is an example of how the level of system looks like. These are the three function system model. This is three function system model. It focuses on benchmarking, leadership, employee involvement, process involvement, and customer focus. So we will discuss this in the coming slides. So what are the features of a system approach? It should be dynamic in the sense that it should not be stagnated to single approach. It should be able to adapt all the possibilities. It should be dynamic and multi-level and multi-dimensional. Managers have a good view, gives importance to the interdependence of different parts. Yeah, the subsystems should be interdependent to each other. It gives importance. Forecast consequences and plans action. Forecast is predicting. Forecast means predicting. So during this COVID time, if you do the production, high production, no one will purchase, right? Because economy has impacted everyone. So the sales will be minimum. So they will forecast in such a way that they will plan accordingly. So the weather forecast, rain forecast. Today on the news they indicate that tomorrow it will rain. So what the company will do that. So tomorrow it will rain. So the marketing team don't go out tomorrow. So we will focus on other issues. We will forecast. So like that is an example. I am not relating this. This is an example of forecast. Forecast is seeing things beforehand, predicting. What are the advantages of this approach? It is closeness to reality. The approaches may be utilized for any of the other approaches. That is the key. There are many approaches we saw now, system approach, quantitative, qualitative. This system approach can be used for other approaches also. That is the main advantages of it. Disadvantages is complex when it's used in large organization, increased difficulty for managers. That is true. When there is many parts, when there is many subsystems, the whole process becomes complex. It becomes difficult to manage, right? When there is few systems, it is good, it is effective. When the subsystems becomes large, components becomes large, it becomes a little complex to handle. Though it is not impossible, it becomes difficult and complex. Next one is operational approach. It is a systematic management for all processes to achieve world-class performance by effective utilization of tools, optimization of resources, elimination of process waste and inefficiencies. So these are the key factors that is considered in the operational approach. The effective utilization of tools. Whatever tools you are having, you have to use effectively. In case of library, if we take, we don't have money, right? That is our concept. We have good computer facility, we have good computer and networking internet facility, but we don't have financial resources. But with the limited tools like computer facility, you can develop open source websites, library websites using open source. You can go for open access software for library management, because we don't have financial resources, but we are having good hardware and networking infrastructure, right? Software infrastructure. So with the tools we have to use it effectively. Optimization of resources, using the resources to the maximum effect, that is optimization. Elimination of process waste and inefficiencies, whichever is considered not needed, whichever is considered inefficient, this is not needed, they can just remove it. That is elimination. So this PDCA, Plan Do Check Act, comes under this approach, right? They will do a plan, they will plan first and they will do it, they will check the outcome and again they will act according to the outcome, right? See, in the planning, they will state the goal. So the plan is, what is the plan in case of library? Increase the users coming to the library. Identify significant processes. So how to increase the users? You need to conduct orientation classes and you need to interact with the users every day, and you need to increase web presence of the library. You need to organize collections systematically. These are the strategies, significant processes to achieve the goal, right? So what they do is identify possible causes of quality, develop data collection strategy. They will implement it. So they will conduct after planning, they will conduct the orientation classes, and they will get feedbacks from the inputs also, and check. And after conducting the orientation classes, they will evaluate, analyze process, collect data. So after orientation, whether the increase in usage to the library has affected or not, you have to check. After orientation also, if no one is coming to the library, then it is a waste, right? Then orientation and whatever you have planned is not effective. And if it is effective, they will try to improve more. If it is not effective, they will act accordingly. So what are the other methods we can improve the users coming to the library? That process is called ACT. This whole process is termed as PDCA, Plan, Do, Check, Act. By following the above three conditions, so as I said earlier, this is PDCA. It is a cyclic process. Whenever you see a circular arrow mark, it considers cyclic process. It is not ending. It is going again. First planning, implementing, doing it, checking it, acting, and again you have to plan to improve. This is a cyclic, continuous improvement. Even if the users come to the library, the next plan will be how to increase more users and how to provide effective services. So again, you will plan accordingly, you will do it and you will check it and you will act it. So this is a continuous and never cyclic process. These are the characteristics of operational approach. This draws together concepts, principles, techniques, knowledge from one fields and managerial approaches. The conceptual framework of management can be constructed on the basis of analysis of management process and identification of principles. Yeah, if the goals are clearly stated, the conceptual framework can be easily constructed and based on this analysis. So that is that is the main characteristics. It brings the concepts and principles together from other fields also. That is the main advantages, main characteristics of this operational approach. Advantages is, if we properly do this, you take an example of PDCA, right? If we do a proper planning, then we conduct the actual implementation and we evaluate ourselves and then we act accordingly, it will definitely increase in productivity. That is true, right? And quality will also improve. We can identify where it went wrong, right? And potentially it will save us time, resources, it will save everything, time, money and everything, other factors also. And it simplifies tasks. It simplifies. We can see, oh, in this process we have to do this only here now, and now we can do only this. We can limit, we can simplify our task. So this is the main advantage of this operational approach. There is disadvantages also. It emphasizes on static condition where the organization has to function in dynamic condition. That is true. If organization has more than one goal or more than one features, dynamic features, it does not support. This approach does not support the dynamic feature. It claims that universality or management principles, while management differs from organization and organization from level to level. See, the organizational principles and the management, if there is a difference, it cannot, what do you say, the management differs from organization to organization, from level to level. That is true. Actually, in every organization, the role of management is different, right? So this same approach cannot be conducted to every organization. So that is the limitation of this particular operational approach. The same operational approach cannot be implemented because the role of management or the role of managing principles in different organization differs from different levels, right? In university as an organization, the role of management is different. In software company as an organization, the role of management is different. But in case of system approach, it will be adaptable by every organization. Operational approach is not adaptable by every organization because it differs. That is the limitation of this. The next is the quantitative. Quantitative, as the name itself states, quantity. It can be quantified in terms of number, right? Management is equal to decision making. Organization is equal to decision making unit. See how they are equating it. Management is decision making. Organization is a unit of it is a unit of management. Simple. Organizational efficiency depends upon the quality of managerial decision. That is, if the manager takes wrong decision, if the management takes wrong decisions, if they fires a good employee, if they remove a good employee, the productivity will stop, right? If they have to keep the good employee. Similarly, a cricket team or a football team, if they remove a good player, what will happen? The team will not perform. So the management has to take wise decision and good decision to improve the productivity. A problem is expressed in the form of quantitative or mathematical model. Here, the problem, whatever the problem comes, it will be represented in mathematical or quantitative model. We will see it. The different variables in management can be quantified and expressed in the form of equation. Here, this approach is everything can be mathematical and quantitative, right? That we will see. Or it involves statistical and programming techniques which helps decision makers to solve many problems, especially concerning business and industry. That is true, right? So statistical data will help you a clear identification what is the problem, right? So we will take library as our example. Our aim is to improve the users coming to the library. So we are taking a statistical data on the last year that 1,000 people come. This year only 200 people have visited the library. This number is quantified, right? The 200 is a number, 1,000 is a number, right? This number shows that there is a decrease from 1,000 to 200. It is a maximum decrease, right? It is a large decrease. So based on this quantitative approach, you will identify the problem and you will try to solve the problem. So how this problem can be overcome by analyzing the techniques and analyzing the theory behind the reason for decrease. 1,000 people came to the library last year, only 200 people are coming. What is the reason? You have to find out. After finding out, we will make it. So whatever problems, we can represent it in the form of quantity, that is number wise. So that's why I given an example of 1,000 and 200. So this is classification of quantitative approach, statistical and programming techniques, right? Statistical techniques helps you to identify based on the statistical data, which in library we can see which department has highly used the library services or library, which department have not used, and based on this statistical and programming techniques we can identify the approaches easily. Linear programming, it is a mathematical technique for optimal allocation of limited resources to competing activities on the basis of given criterion of optimality, which can be either performance, ROI, return of investment, cost, utility, time, or distance. Yeah, it is a program. It is a mathematical technique which allocates resources to activities on the basis of certain criteria. This program allocates activities on the basis of criteria for different criteria. That criteria can be performance or ROI or cost or utility. It is a programming. If there is this much investment, you should have this much return. I have invested 1,000 rupees. I want 2,000 in return. So like that, there are different criteria set. Graphical solution. Whatever we do, we can represent it in the whatever we get it in the form of statistical data. We can represent it in a graph. You might have seen bar charts, pie charts, histograms, graphs, right? This that shows that these people have, even in the case of COVID cases, right? They are representing in graphs, right? Daily increase in cases, decrease in cases. They are representing in graphs. It helps to locate the problem easily. Formulate the problem, convert inequalities into equations, plot the graphs of all inequalities. It helps you to identify where the problem exists. It also helps to arrive to the solution, right? So graphs is a good way of representing the data. So when we different types of graphs and statistical techniques, we will learn this in research methodology. Actually, there is a separate chapter for this, and when we go there, I will tell you about this part more in detail. So next is TQM. TQM is total quality management. The key is to practice continual improvement and thinking of manufacturing as a system, not as bits or pieces. So it consists everything as a system, not as a part, bits and pieces. So total quality management is the integration of all functions and processes within an organization to achieve the continuous improvement of the quality of goods and services. It integrates means it unites together all the functions and process inside an organization to achieve continuous improvement of the quality. The quality is not compromised here, right? And quality of goods and services, not the quantity alone. The goal is customer satisfaction. If the customer is satisfied, he will definitely come again and purchase, right? If the quality is not good, he will not purchase. That is the key behind this TQM. So quality is equated in terms of result of work efforts divided by total cost. Quality tends to increase and cost fall over time. Cost tend to rise and quality declines over time. That is the second criteria. When people and organization primarily focus on quality will definitely increase and cost will fall over time. Okay. Now, because to get a high quality material, it requires cost actually. It requires cost. So, but over a period of time, you will understand that quality is more important than cost. So, but most of the organization, when people and organization primarily on cost tends to rise and quality decline over time, right? Cost, if you compromise with quality, if you prepare low quality materials, the income will be good at the initial stage, but over a period of time people will get to know that your quality of material is not good, so eventually the quality will decline. So this is the approach of Japan and US. In Japan, the problem facing manufacturers can be solved through cooperation despite differences. So they are taking cooperation as a factor here, right? Marketing is not sales, but the science of knowing and what people buy your product and repeatedly thinking of that product and whether they will buy it again or not. That is the role of marketing in Japan's TQM model. Okay, what they are saying is marketing is not just a sales, increasing this many sales I have completed. No, knowing what kind of people are buying your product. Because books, when you are selling books, you will know that mostly academicians, researchers, and authors, mostly they will buy books, right? Or school children, they will buy books. So you have to understand what kind of people. So other than these academicians, students and others, who will buy books? So you need to understand whether they will buy books again. You need to understand the pattern to ensure quality. And US Navy states that quality is defined by customers' requirements. Yeah, that is important. What the customer need. What is the information need of the user? What he is looking for. So based on that, your service should be rendered. You should not state that yeah, you take this data. He comes in for a specific requirement. So you should ensure that his requirement is satisfied. That is quality. Characteristics. It is defined as a conformance to requirement, not goodness. The system for achieving quality is prevention, not appraisal. The performance standard is zero defects. Not that is close enough. The performance, the quality of the material should not have any defect. There is a meaning of that. The measurement of quality is price of non-conformance, not indices. So these are the different characteristics. So I'm not going into detail because the main aim of quality is to provide good services of high quality. Simple as that. Different people, what is quality? Different people interpret quality differently. That is true. When few people define quality in a measurable items that can be proved, operationalized. So the banker will call it as service. We librarians also call it as service. The healthcare worker will call it as quality healthcare. I will give you quality checkup. Like that. The hotel employee is customer satisfaction. These terminologies are associated with quality. We call it as quality library service. Right. So everyone, depending upon their profession, they will define quality in their own way. So the server, hotel server is, they are giving customer satisfaction. They are providing hygienic food, right? And similarly, library is providing appropriate information, high quality information, high quality and appropriate relevant information. They are not providing high quality. Relevant information ensures that user is not wasting time. So this is the continuous model, TPM model actually. The focus is on the customer planning process. Planning is done, processing the management and improving, and total participation. Everyone has to involve in this model. So I'm not going into the history part. This is for your study purpose. So next is learning organization approach. Learning organization are those where people continually expand their capacity to create results and desire, where new and expansive patterns of thinking are nurtured, where collective aspiration is set to free, and where people are continually learning to set the whole together. Learning organization is everyone is learning continuously. There is no ending. A collective aspiration, a collective goal is set, and where people are continually learning to see the whole together. Everyone is learning and improving on a daily basis, on certain time basis. That is learning organization approach. See, knowledge, this can be related with library actually. So traditionally libraries are only consist of books and printed documents. Now we have shifted towards digital library, virtual library, and with the appropriate technologies. So as a librarian, we need to learn continuously to update with the technologies that we can implement. So this approach is learning organization. Knowledge management is a process of using intellectual capital for competitive advantage. Portfolio of intellectual assets includes patent, IP, trade secrets, knowledge of the entire workforce, right? They should create a database, knowledge database, so that every knowledge is stored in such a way they can be used to increase the productivity. So librarians can create a knowledge repository of the resources available for facilitating the maximum usage of resources for the present users as well as the forthcoming users. So this approach can be related with library actually. See, this is the model actually. Mental models, personal mastery, system thinking, vision, and team learning. System thinking. This is this is how you build a learning organization, right? Systems thinking is system approach. Shared vision is chaotic organization, challenging of mental models, classical and management science that can be challenged. As I told you about what is classical model, right? Team learning theory is that we will see, and behavioral model we saw, and personal mastery is theory is that, and behavioral again. Behavioral, we know what is behavioral, right? It gives importance to group as a team, not as an individual. Human relation model gives importance to individual, right? Behavioral gives to importance to as a whole. It includes every individual in that particular group. So this is how you build a learning organization. So team building, you know what is a team? A team is a small group of people with complementary skill who work actively together to achieve a common purpose. So this is a team. This is about the team building theory. So this is what you say. A basic. I will just brush through this topic. Team is in simple words, is a group of members who are brought together to achieve a common goal. I don't know how many of you saw the web series Money Heist. It's a famous series. What he does is the head he brings a team of thieves, okay, in different skills together to plan a heist, to plan to steal money. So he forms a team, okay, from different people with different skill set. One is experienced in computer programming, so he can hack the system. One is experienced in gun shooting, so he can be a protective measure. So one is experienced in machinery drilling. So if you see the web series, you will understand that. So similarly, so team is bringing together people with different skill to achieve a common purpose. It is a group that has a job to do, whether paid as participants or volunteers. You can take cricket or football as a team. So cricket, you should have a combination of bowlers, batsmen, all-rounders, and wicket keepers. So you have to put the combination of specific skills of individual as a team so that everyone can win. If you cannot play 11 batsmen, right, no one will bowl, the team will fail. You cannot play 11 bowlers, no one will bat, right. You cannot play 11 wicket keepers. So it should be a combination of different skill set to achieve the common purpose. So this is what a team is about. Team building, how you build a team, that is actually an art. It's a process of forming, growing, and improving the knowledge, skills, and attitudes of individuals with different needs, backgrounds, abilities, integrated into an high performance team. We'll take cricket as an example, right? So how you select the perfect playing 11? So you need to analyze the abilities and knowledge and skills of the player and see, oh, this player will fit in this condition, this player will fit in different conditions, like that. That is how you formulate. Based on the skill set of that player, you bring together a strong 11. This batsman is suited for most Indian conditions. This batsman is suited for England conditions. So based on the skill set of that particular player, you bring a team together so that your collective aim is to win the match. So these are different types of team building theory. So I am definitely not going into this. You can just go through this, okay. Belbin's nine team rules. One is action oriented, people oriented, and thought oriented. Right? Action oriented is to challenge the team to improve. Right? Though you have performed well, you have won 6 out of 10 matches. Again, I want you to improve. That is you put challenges. People oriented acts as a chairperson, encourage cooperation within your team. There should be cooperation. So thought oriented, it analyzes options, provides specific skills, present new ideas and approach. So this can be implemented here. These are thoughts and ideas which can be used for future purposes to improve the organization goals. So this is Myers-Briggs type indicator. It focuses on 4 dichotomies: extrovert, introvert, sensation, intuition, thinking, feeling, judging, perceiving. These are different kinds of emotions of an individual actually. Okay, extrovert, introvert is nothing but he will not speak, a shy kind of type. Extrovert is he is open to everything. Sensation, intuition, thinking, feeling, judging, a person who judges. There are some kind of people, a person who perceives. So when you combine every people in such a way with this skill set, you will get the performance will be good. So you cannot put extrovert and extrovert in the same team. You have to combine. You have to mix the feelings according to these dichotomies, and you combine the peoples. It's for that the manager should have knowledge about the people's emotions. These are nothing but the emotions and the personalities of the people actually. ColorWorks theory. See, ColorWorks uses a psychological model of behaviors that helps teams to understand similarities and differences in order to become more effective. So this theory tells that color plays an important role. Color plays an important role to increase productivity and increase sales. Okay, there are 3 types of colors: primary, secondary, and tertiary. Primary colors falls under red, blue, green. So combination of these red, blue, green brings other colors actually. So different colors has different headings. You see: director, motivator, inspirer, helper, supporter, coordinator, observer, and reformer. So you need to put everyone. You need to put everyone and everyone. You need to compile this different personalities of individual. One will be a director, one will be a motivator. There are certain people who motivates others. As a student, you can motivate fellow students. You can motivate your fellow students. So one is observe. There are certain people who just observe. They don't talk much. So different kind of people you can bring together. So this is an interesting fact actually. You see the fact in quotation mark. People decide whether or not they like a product in 90 seconds or less. 90% of decision based on the color only. That is true actually. when you go into a shop, the first thing you see is the color of the product. If the color, if you find it attractive, you at least go near it, or you take a look at it, right? If you don't like the color, if it is dull, most probably most people won't look, 90% of the people. So that is the perception of this particular theory. So theory X and Y, which is given by McGregor, he examined individual behaviors of humans at work. Okay, these theories are based on human behavior in management. He suggested that management could use certain sets of needs to motivate them. So leaders believes that who holds theory X believe that employees are lazy and lack ambition. A negative perspective on human behavior. Theory X states that employees are mostly lazy and they don't have any ambition. Whereas theory Y states that it provides a positive perspective of human behavior. Most employees do not dislike work and want to make useful contribution. That is the theory Y. Theory Y states that employees like work, they want to make contribution. Whereas theory X states an employee doesn't like work, they don't have any intention to do the work. So what is theory X actually? Employees are naturally unmotivated and dislike working. This encourages authoritative style of management. When you don't follow the instruction, what happens is the boss will become stricter. That is what this theory is talking about. It summarizes the work needed to be constantly watched and instructed what to do. So I need to monitor you regularly whether you are studying or not. The boss needs to monitor. Go for rounds regularly at frequent intervals to see whether the work is completed or not. The assumption of theory X is employee dislike work, lazy, dislike responsibility, and must not coerce it to perform. So these are the characteristics. Whereas theory Y is the opposite of theory X. It shows a participative style of management that is decentralized. So everyone is willing to participate for the contribution of achieving organizational goals. They are happy to work self-motivated, creative, and enjoy working with greater responsibility. This is what this theory is talking about. So these are the characteristics of when you theory Y. When you compare these two, then you compare these two in basis of 5 parameters like attitude, direction, responsibility, motivation, and creativity. Theory X rates at 0%, whereas theory Y is 100%, because theory Y perceives that positive approach in people. Theory I states a negative approach. It dictates autocratic style of management, leadership. Theory Y dictates democratic bits. Everyone is willing to participate. So application, where will you apply these two theories? Theory X is accepted as inferior to others. It has taken place in larger scale of production operation and unskilled production line of work. Whereas theory Y management is suited to knowledge work and professional service. Even highly structured, either call center operation can benefit from. So theory Y principle to encourage knowledge sharing and continuous improvement. So theory X is when you have unskilled workers. When you have unskilled production workers, they don't know anything. You have to watch them constantly because they don't know anything. They don't like to work because they don't have the skill, but you have to give instruction to make them work. That in that cases theory X kind of application will work. Whereas the knowledge, whereas the skill is there, knowledge is there with the employees, the theory Y kind of perseverance will work because they already have the skill, right? They already have the skill. The thing is, you need to motivate the individual to perform that particular work. So this is the application of theory X and Y respect to management and workplace. So again, I'm not going into this. So social identity process, we categorize. First is categorization. Categorize object in order to understand them and identify them. So categorize in the sense that we categorize this. We are grouping we are grouping a system into different parts. An example, we categorize people in order to understand the social environment. How we categorize that? We use categories like Christian, Muslim, student, bus driver, faculty, like that. We categorize to understand the social behavior. That is about categorization. Identification is we adopt to identity of the group we have categorized ourselves as belonging to. See, I have categorized according to different groups, right? Like student, faculty, teacher, head of the department, vice. So where I belong, I am a faculty. I belong to the group of faculty. You belong to the group of student. So this is how the identification of So this is how the identification of social identity process works. So for example, if you have categorized yourself as a student, the chances you will adopt the identity of a student and belonging to act in the ways you believe students act. So that is the social identification, where you categorize the group, then you see where you stand in that group actually, and you compare. Once you have categorized ourselves as a part of group and identify with that group, then we tend to compare the group with other groups. If our self-esteem is to be maintained, our groups need to compare favorably with other groups, right? See, students of this college can be compared with students of that college and see how it is. Our students of MLIC of our university can be compared with students of MLIC students of other university. Similarly, faculty of our university compared with other university, how they perform for favorable, positive improvement. So this is about John Adler's action-centered leadership. This model is represented by three circles, overlapping circles: team, task, and individual, by describing what the leaders have to do and what actions do they need to take. Okay, the simple two things: what leaders have to do and what actions they need to take. So achieve the task, build and maintain the team, and develop the individual. Okay, this is the three important goals of this team building. So what is this action-centered leadership. Okay, so this is Tuckman theory of team development. It consists of forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. These are the different stages of this theory, in the sense that forming is the team is assembled and the task is allotted. You form a team and you give a task to them. Then the team starts to address the task, suggesting ideas. Then the team start working on the task and they give ideas. Norming is the team moves out of the storming phase. They will enter it. They tends to move towards a harmonious working practice. However, having received the ideas, they will work together as a team with cooperation. That is norming. Performing is not all team. Performing is after building the ideas and everything, you need to perform to make the task right. So adjourning and transforming is, this is a final stage. After completing the task, either you are removed or adjourned to a new team and you are transformed to further. It depends upon the quality of the performance it has been done. Chaos, everyone has heard chaos, right? It determines order, randomness and unpredictability exist in natural and social systems. So we state that earthquake happened, there is a chaos. Chaos is, there is a problem. System appear chaotic and disorderly. The system is not good actually. Chaotic is, it's not good. Management must know how to control the work patterns and when the organization. When there is a strike when the employees conduct a strike, means there is a chaos. There is a problem in the system. That is chaos. The system is not good. The management should understand what is the reason for chaos and take action appropriately. So this is open system. Open system is it regularly exchange feedbacks from all the factors, with this external environment. It is it is not closed. It is transparent. That is open system. You see in this flow chart, inputs. Where are the inputs? Input consists of people, ideas, everything. The inputs are processed into projects, into teams, projects, and outputs is given. After, based on ideas, you do a project, and the output is the finished product, a manufacturing good, and the outcomes. Whether you are happy with the outcome or not. So in every stage they will give feedback. You will have feedback for every part, every process of this theory. So this theory is called as open system. Contingency is this: there is no best way to manage. The managing things is based on the situation. Okay, during COVID, no one expected this COVID, right? So how will you say this is the best method for teaching? And due to this crisis, we are doing online teaching. We cannot say online is best. We cannot say classroom teaching is best. So there is no best way of managing. Depending upon the situation, you manage. That is called a situational approach or contingency approach. Any event might happen, like this COVID is a better example of it. Good managers need to consider contingencies when making plan, right? So if I am aware about online technologies, I am able to handle online classes. If the teacher doesn't know what is online technology, then you will find it difficult during this contingency period, during this COVID period, right? Contingency is nothing but based on the situation you have to act. When you are going, when you are going outside, suddenly it rains. What happened? You don't have an umbrella, so you have to act accordingly. Either you want to go through the rain, or you have to stand in a shelter. So depending upon the situation, which you might not know what will happen next. So contingency theory works like that. So this COVID is a best example of contingency theory. We don't know this lockdown will occur, right? Everyone thought we will learn in the classroom, but suddenly COVID happened. So we relied on online technologies. For that, we need to have some skills, basic skills to know how to teach and how to learn, right? Without the skills, if I don't know what is Google Meet, I will not be able to teach. If I don't know what is online teaching, I cannot able to teach. So there certain skills will be effective during certain situations. So that is contingency, situational approach. So this is what do you say? This is about different theories. So these are different factors, right? External contingencies and internal. Internal are within the organization, technology, people, task, purpose, and structure. So within our university, how we are teaching, how we are taking how we are managing, depending upon the situation. External factors is, these are the external factors: socio-cultural, economic, political, and technological. I have given an example with Coca-Cola. What is the external factors for this? Coca-Cola is a manufacturing company. So socio-cultural external factors, some people have concern whether Coca-Cola is good for health or not. So some people, due to this lockdown term, the economic will be, the production will be less, right? Technology is there are substitute many, there are competitions, many competitions like Pepsi or something like that. So new promotion, you can do new promotional, you can, in order to increase your competitiveness, you can do promotion via website using technology. So government has increased health standards. So Coca-Cola, this should be this kind of, what do you say, this kind of chemicals not should be included, this should be included. They have given norms, you have to follow them. So these are the different factors that the company organization should follow while considering a product. So this is the references for what I have taken resources from. You can go through this. So this is all about the modern management theory